Hello, everyone. Hello. Tuesday, 13th of January. Grooving right along. What's going on, people? Cheers. The comments on my Grateful Dead tribute to Bob Weir are very lovely and fantastic because it's the essence of what I got from um, the whole saga of hippie and counterculture. And I can see through the comments from many people that I wasn't the only one, and that what we were experiencing or do experience is real. Now, I had mentioned to you that I had never taken the bus trips from Omaha with Tom Foster and the local hippies to see the Dead, but I've been on the bus before that as far as the Kenkisi. Are you on the bus? No, I'm definitely on the bus still. Lovely hearing from you folks. And yes, it does, when you look at the numbers, the subject matter does make a difference. And things that touch the lives of a lot of people is when you get the most traffic. So like my Bob Weir tribute is, big numbers, but small in comparison. It's not viral at all. But, I usually get about 900 views per day. And it's been a few days and the Bob Weir is up over 3,000. I'm glad that people can vibe with my words. I like hearing from other Black people who understand, well, not just understand, but it's nice when people let me know that they are Black too. They understand. We need to let you know. We need to. It's just it's just to be a citizen of this country, but to have grown up being treated like the most hated or an outsider or like you're not one of us. I'm on the bus and realize I am one of us, whether or not others realize it. I know it. Yes, for many of us, hippie is definitely a badge of honor. So I'm doing good. Still haven't gone to the record store. That doesn't mean I won't this week, but so I had a visitor yesterday, and it's worth talking about. I've mentioned my friends before. I have two friends named Nick. There's Nick and Kat with Faye, the baby. Then my friend yesterday, Nick, who is younger and hasn't even turned 30 yet, who I met, as it turns out, I met him 10 years ago at the art gallery in a house, which was also a great party space. And that's how we met. He's gone sober, really pulling his life together as he needs to. See, I recognize that. We all don't need to do what everybody else does. We had a wonderful conversation. He is a good friend. Stephanie, since you're watching this, I need to tell you this. I don't mind the whole world seeing this. So I'm the only, even though we have cousins in town, I'm the only sibling in Omaha. So when I pass away, whenever that is, I don't have any family in town to make sure that my will is honored. Now, young Nick, out of all the people I know, he is the only person who has sincerely offered to be my family contact in time of death. Now, I haven't taken him up on it, but um, he is the most realistic candidate of the person that would try to contact some of you guys out in California when I pass. Of course, I hope it's a long time from now. You know, I hope it'll be a long time. But anyway, I'm talking about him because we are very close. He's a smart young man, but we're very different, and he comes from a white middle class background. And we were talking yesterday politics, particularly about Renee Good, and Nick was spouting the the usual crap from, I'm going to say it, white folks who don't pay attention. The first thing he comes to talk about, try to say, well, if I were in her position, I wouldn't have been gunning the car and doing this and doing that. And I said, don't you see the bigger picture, that she shouldn't have been in that position in the first place? That ICE are not acting lawfully. They are not protecting us. They are not doing what supposedly ICE is supposed to do. And this was a great conversation because we're friends and we can go at it. And he says, you mean to tell me that ICE is acting like brown shirts and they're just, I said, don't, I said, I know you don't watch the news and you don't stay in touch, but have you watched any news? Do you have any knowledge about what's going on? He said, no. I said, Nick, that's what they're doing. And if you would just, you have to read between the lines, especially when you're dealing with national news like CBS, Fox, and ABC and all that shit. And you have to go, you have to look at international news feeds and independent American news feeds to start to put the picture together. But this is Trump's program of hate against the American people. They're not protecting us. And I said, and I was so glad that we're friends because we could talk about this and get heated. I was angry, but not angry at him. I was angry that he is an example of the problem, which is we have way too many people who are totally disconnected from information and make assumptions. My good friend Nick just assumed that ICE were actually doing their job lawfully, and I said, man, even the national news, you can discern it from that. But when you look at independent news as well as international news feeds, the way things are being reported, I can also tell by the way I feel inside and what's happening in my immediate neighborhood. You'll see, Nick, that things are not right, and that Trump is worse than the devil. But it was a great conversation to be able to talk about these things with him. I'll show a couple of records. We listened to Pink Floyd. That's what we listened to while we talked, just so you know. And the thing that Nick said, which I told him, it's like, he says, well, if you say that ICE is acting like brown shirts and doing things illegally, I'd need to see that. I need to prove that. I said, well, get off your ass and start to pay attention. I don't need to show you shit. I'm the one that's paying attention and seeing for myself. You need to do that because just assuming that everything is just fine and hunky-dory is part of the problem. So, enough of that, right? But I wanted to share that. I love my friends. I'm supposed to see Frank today. Frank and I are supposed to get together today. So a couple of records to show you. This, I didn't play this, but it's out for play. Is there something else? It'll come back if it's supposed to be shared. Pekka Pajola, who came to my attention originally from the band Wigwam, who I showed yesterday. Rest in peace, he's gone. Um, I pulled this because I wanted to show it in a group that I belong to on Facebook, where it's a group that I joined recently, Prague and Kraut, one of those groups, Mark II. But the person running the group, Dominic Matt, who I don't know, but the main people in that group are showing exactly the shit that I love in this vein. So I wanted to show him some stuff. Yeah, I'm one of y'all. So I pulled this to post, but I haven't played it yet. Poet, concept album. His music is wonderful. And he was a heck of a bass player. Very skilled bass player. Pekka Bajola. Yes, I have several of his albums. Here's one that I pulled. It's like, oh, you're in there hiding. Maybe it's time for you to go. It's over in the M's, Makoto. This is one where I was thinking, oh, this might be time for this one to go. Thankfully, no. This is better than coffee table jazz, but it's that. It is. It's funky. It's instrumental. And I'm looking to see here. Makoto Horiyuchi is born in Boulder, Colorado, but obviously of Japanese descent. He studied with Larry Coryell and Bill Connors and was in, okay, that's it. Yeah, he's in Julian Priester's album, the Marine Intrusion. So that's where I heard of this guy. And this is good. It is not phoned in. It's not watered down, but it's accessible. I think it's naturally accessible for what these guys, excuse me, I think this is what these guys wanted to play as opposed to being something calculated. But it's on the Quest label, Quincy Jones's label, which to me is an immediate indication that the music, Quincy or somebody in his camp thought this music had commercial potential to make money, which is how they got signed to the label and got the album out. I don't know how it did, because this is a promo, but it's good. Okay, if you like this sort of thing, it was like, oh no, that's a keeper. It is. It's good. And then thinking about Kabas Tarabi, thank you. I just didn't want to grab. I have a couple of the Gong records with Kabas as the leader. I respect the cat, but it got me to thinking about Gong, and I pulled this Flying Teapot. This is an alternate mix than the one on Virgin Records, and this is a reissue from the 80s on the Charlie label, but I had one of these from a French label when this first came out, when there was a lot of legal mix-up regarding David Allen's affairs, and people were releasing stuff that they didn't necessarily own. I gave that one to a friend who's passed away, and it's like, I don't regret it giving it, but it's like it's one of those things that's rare. It's rare, and I gave it away. But this, I love Gong, and I listen to the whole album. It's just a wonderful trip. There's embedded in the goofy story about the pot-headed pixies is deep knowledge that can be used to help you with your self-awareness. Gong helped me listening to Gong and the Teapot Trilogy, ending with the album You, because of the time that I heard it in my life, in the 70s. I was just coming out of my teens. It was instructive. It was helpful. I love this music. And when I met David Allen and Gilly Smith and Didier Malherbe and Pep Pyle and Mike Howlett, they felt like family, especially David and Gilly. They really felt like family. Music is a healer, and when I say that, I am quoting John Lee Hooker. Music the healer. You ever heard that by him? I like that. I just, like I keep saying, it's not the place that I have comfort in, to just get comfy and listen to some blues. But I feel it. I know what's going on there. I sure do. I sure do. But this is my shit. This is my world. What I'm showing you. So I pulled this. Not sure exactly what got me to pull it, but I love this album. Message from Books and Dreams. Another more than Germans. Germans. Now I'll say this. It's probably lucky for me that I wasn't born or raised in Germany as a black kid, because chances are, I mean, racism is everywhere. Chances are, if I had been raised over there, I wouldn't feel the way I do about German bands. But from a distance, I find my place within this music and these people. So, Message from Books and Dreams. This is a reissue. I've been after this for years. I love that cover. This is probably more hard rock than prog, but it gets lumped in there. It's just really good. And when you hear it, there's a real strong riff on here that I can hear now that I would hear before I remembered what it was. I had somehow heard this album before I owned it, because when I got it and that riff appeared, da 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 da, I said, damn, I've heard that before. Great album. Message from Books and Dreams. It's been, I was calling it Prog Monday on Facebook, because I was sharing some prog albums that I haven't played in a while, and I played them rather than just mostly showing them. Here's one I played all the way through. Italian band, Capsicum Red. Appunti per un'idea fissa. Keyboard oriented. The vocals on here are I don't care for, but I'd like to get that out of the way, because the music is tough. It's definitely classically informed. The pianist, the organ, the keyboardist plays with great skill and flourish. And I'm not trying to write prog music now, but what I'm trying to do is teach myself how to do this, so things aren't so linear, you know, the way these songs have all these different parts, how they work together. I'm working on getting better at that. And the other thing that I pulled, not to play but to show in this particular group, is this reissue of this album by my good friend Tom Ware, The Fourth Circle. Tom and I have been in several bands together, made our first record together, Norman and the Rockwells. Tom's also the drummer in the most recent incarnation of the band Scudder, the band that I was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Iowa last year. So was Tom, as members of the band Scudder. But Tom is a recording engineer as well, and multi-instrumentalist drummer. And back in the 80s, when we were hanging out tough and I was turning him on to a lot of stuff, I turned him on. He was really into Zappa, but he didn't know much about electronic music. So I turned him on to Yellow Magic Orchestra and Kraftwerk, and he just went whole hog. He released this album, yeah, here it is. He released this album in 1985 independently on his own label, The Fourth Circle. And there his written dedication to me. I'm not on this album, but he says my name on the album, but you can't hardly tell because he's using effects on his voice. But that was his way of honoring me. I didn't ask for it. It's something he just decided to do, was to shout my name. I forget which song it is on the album. But anyway, after this came out, originally that he pressed it himself, I was really impressed. And I said, Tom, you could probably get this put out by a label. And the label I thought of right away was Sky. I said, I bet you could get this put out by Sky. He said, really? Well, find out for me. So I did some digging around, found out got a contact for Sky Records, gave it to Tom, and Sky Records, great label, as you know. Cluster and Eno and stuff like that is on this label. They released it. Tom Ware on Sky Records. Now, what's funny is, even after this album was issued, Tom still has a closet full of the original album, copies of the original album on his own private label. And what's even funnier, not funnier, but even crazier about the music business, because people just want to make money. A lot of people aren't interested in the music, they're interested in the money. He was approached years later, I think in the 90s, by a small boutique label that I don't remember, asking to reissue it again. And Tom, I remember helping Tom with this because this don't make no sense. I still got buku copies of the original that I can't give away. And here these people are wanting to license it for reissue again. So I checked that company out and they were legit. And I said, well, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. So they issued it again. It's lost in the ether. I've never seen a copy of it. I don't remember what the name of the label is. But that's my brother, Tom Ware. It's an album by him. Fourth Circle. It's good stuff. That's what I got to show today. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with my friend Frank today. Our history is very deep too. He was in the service and traveled all over the place. And so he's seen some concerts that, I used to get green with jealousy. Oh, I wish I could have been there. I mean, he's seen Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention so many times. Back in the day, he saw the Stones at their hideout. Not that I would have liked to have experienced the Rolling Stones at their height. I've seen the Stones with Charlie Watts before he died. But I mean, he saw some amazing back in the day shows, early 70s, Traffic, and bands that are long gone. And we just love to talk about that stuff. Of course, he and I have a whole history of shows that we've gone to and traveled for. One of the Porcupine Tree trips up to the West Coast, seeing Porcupine Tree in Seattle and Portland. Frank and I did that. We flew out together. And then we stayed with Andy, the guy I was telling you about, who's the great Grateful Dead head and guitar collector. I love those people. And just looking at, to just close out here, I'm going to take another look to see if there's anything to say. I only deleted one comment yesterday. It's like, what is wrong with people? It's like, you did all that so you could try to say something nasty? What is wrong with people? And it's like, didn't hurt me. It's like, what's wrong with these people? It made me think of like The Exorcist. It's like people whose heads are spinning around and there's puking out green shit. Something's wrong with their soul. It doesn't bother me. It's like, it just perplexes me. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with people? I'm glad you enjoyed this, folks. Thank you for the compliment on my wall of records. They're throughout the house. It's not just in the room. Every room in this house. And Frizzy Bear, yes. He said, what a sheer delight this made them smile. And let's face it, there ain't much to smile about presently. And he's right. Thank you, Mutant Mycology. Yes, I am honest. I just say what I'm thinking. I tell you, I give you too much information. And I've been on here for a long time, okay? Always love hearing from you, Stephanie. I see you there. Yeah, I like telling my stories. I could tell stories deep, but it's like I don't need to. Good to hear from you, DJ Trish. And here's someone who says, I'm 63. I've been on the bus since 77. I understand. It is a great loss to the universe. Someone else picked up on Mickey Barani's Tripla album. Very cool. Yeah, when Jerry died, it was big, but this hits harder, someone says. I feel it. I feel it. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, people. I really do enjoy reading what you share with me. And here's someone who's been watching me long enough to see that they saw the video I did with Mark Stanley. That's Owsley Stanley, the acid guru. Mark Stanley, I'm on Mark Stanley's records. We're long distance friends. That's his uncle, Owsley. I'm on the bus. I'm connected. And I love it when people will say that I'll show a record and they say, well, I just showed that, or I just played that. That's cosmic. It's weird, you know? Well, yeah, it is cosmic. We're connected. We're connected. Let's steel ourselves to deal with whatever further chaos, madness, and hate is coming this week, courtesy of the Trump administration and his hateful cronies, because it's coming. With that, spread love, spread light, share your light, love yourself, and let that love radiate out. That's the key. You gotta include yourself. Okay, that's enough.